fans have spoken. It is time now to build the biggest set in all of Bionicle Gen 1, of course. And that is, of course, set number 10204, Vezon and Kardas, with a piece count of 670 and retail for once $50. Now, if you want to get this thing, if you want to buy this used, you're paying up to $200 to $300. And if you want this brand new sealed in a box, if you can even find that, that is up to like 500 and beyond. This thing is crazy hard to get. I don't even know where you're going to find it at, but best of luck to you. When Vezon and Fenrak were initially defeated by the Bionicle, they fell into a pool of lava. Instead of dying, the Mask of Life further transformed Fenrak into a new creature called the Kardas Dragon. It no longer had Fenrak's abilities, so it had its own unique ability of concussive blast force instead of the kinetic absorption that Fenrak used to have. Now, I do not have the original box because I did not buy this sealed or used. I have just the 3 composite sets to build this thing, so I got to do it the old-fashioned way and just, take apart these amazing sets to build this huge, hopefully immaculate model here. So that's what I'm going to do right now. After 2.5 hours of long, painful, grueling building, Kardas and Vezon are complete. And I have to say, it lives up to the hype. Now, I just want to start off and say that this build was pretty excruciating. Now, I did not have the instructions, as I already mentioned, but I really wish I did, because trying to look at on my phone to look at the instructions were absolutely nightmarish. It was truly an awful experience. I do not recommend getting this if you get this to look at your phone or tablet. If you can find the instructions, please get it. Okay, now back to the actual review. So this thing is absolutely freaking gigantuous. This thing is huge. This thing feels powerful. This thing got some weight. It got some girth. This thing is absolutely insane. I cannot stress enough that this thing is super awesome looking. Like, it's awesome. Now, the build was frustrating, but the actual final result is incredible. It looks so good. But before we can actually get into the Kardas deep dive look, we gotta look at, of course, Vezon, because there was some changes to him. Not much, but we gotta look at him. Not too many changes to Vezon, but he was tweaked just a little bit. Now, of course, the big obvious thing is his huge freaking new giant axe blade arm, which is freaking crazy looking at. But other than that, he really isn't much different, because now in his like eternal build where his like torso is at, it's slightly different only by a pin, where he has this weird kind of like wobbly thing he can do with his like upper chest and like abdomen region. It's like this really weird wobbly thing because it's only one pin that's stuck in and it's kind of loose. But he's a touch taller, but not by much. So I don't know what to say. Oh, his spear is different because he doesn't have the little Bionicle leg piece on there, like armor piece on there, so it's slightly different. But and he has his chain attached to it or whatever, but it's not really much. You know, he's the same as he was in the previous, in his own set, so you're not getting much out of him. So I'm gonna pretty much move on from this. Time for the big boy, Kardas, the big, huge, hulking dragon. And he is, as I already said, huge, immaculate, and just absolutely stunning. Because this thing is a freaking monster. Like, holy crap. But to dive in a little bit deeper, I want to say that now I think this build is really bad. You know, I'm sorry. I did not find the build very fun. But other than that, I would say that I don't really like it's specific things I want to talk about. But I guess overall, like, I think the design is good, but the color scheme is kind of awkward, to say the least. Because now I will say that it looks, sure, it's fine for what it is, because you do get the idea that like all of like his concussive blast force beam energy is like charging through his tail and up through his like spine and back, and it kind of goes up to the wings and to its neck, and it's like about to blast out this huge like shockwave of energy. But you know, with all the red and stuff, so it makes sense. And then all like the blue and silver parts are just like when it's like where it's cooled off and it's nothing really going on right there. So you kind of could get this sense of power surging through him, and it's like really like almost he can barely contain it. But that's really cool and all. Just I still don't think the color scheme really looks all that good. It's not the worst. It's not the worst. Don't misconstrue that it's a good color scheme, but it's not a solid color scheme. Is all I'm trying to say. So I mean, it really could have been better, but I guess you can only do so much with the parts you have. Now, speaking of parts, this thing took practically all the pieces from each of the composite sets. Like, after I was done building it, it was literally just like a bag, like a tiny little like sandwich bag worth of pieces. Like, it's tiny. Like, it was hardly any pieces left to even do anything with. Like, you're left with literally just the masks and a few armor pieces and pins or whatever. So it's not much. This is a very all-encompassing combination model. It feels like you're really putting all of them together to make this huge, awesome looking set. Like, there's no like, okay, like a lot of the previous combinations that I did before felt like, well, you're kind of using like most of one person's parts. But no, this one, you're using all of them. You're using all of them. They're all included in this. You're definitely not going to get one like pieces of one set more than the other. They're all encompassing in this. So I think that's really awesome. I feel like I wish more combination models did that, but they rarely do, and it's kind of a shame. But this is really good. Moving along down towards the feet of this huge thing. So I want to talk about the feet and say that this thing has a lot going on for it. Like, there's so many things, so much detail going on with the feet and the legs. Like, This thing is crazy. Like, it has so much articulation. Like, I've never seen a foot have so much articulation with the toes and the little nails and claws and stuff. It's crazy to see all of that in there, and it's pretty gnarly actually. It's like it's a lot involved into that foot, and it's pretty stable for what I've seen so far. Like, I feel like I'm not gonna worry about it falling. Now, it does have to kind of like hinge, like I say hinge, but it has to kind of hunch a little bit before it won't fall, because you cannot stand it up straight. You can't. At least I didn't try too hard, but I didn't want to either. So I feel like it kind of has to have this hunching kind of position the whole time. So that's why the feet work so well, because the feet are definitely, obviously, you know, it's a lot more pieces going front than back. So it's the stability is going frontwards, not backwards. So that's kind of why it kind of has to lean forward a bit. Moving slightly up a bit, we are at the legs and the pelvic region of the build, and yeah, so like I said with just the legs, that it kind of has the hunch over because it has like two connections towards the pelvis, because it really has a torso and another ball joint for the legs for more stability. So yeah, it does have to kind of like hunch a bit, but I think that looks fine. I mean, honestly, I don't really see myself ever really trying to have it stand up straight, because why would you want that? It doesn't even look good if you tried to do that. Even if you could do that, it wouldn't even look good. So I would probably not bother doing that, but it's crazy detailed and it's really well done. Now, there is some open axles sticking out, which I'm not a fan of. I wish there was pieces to cover that up. There is, but I didn't put that on there. Maybe the instructions showed me, but I just didn't pay attention. But from what I can see, I don't think it was supposed to. So it's just these awkward pins sticking out. I don't think that looks good. That's a bit of a con there. And there's in that mid section right there, there's more pins sticking out. It's like this blue pin and gray axle just sticking out. It's just kind of like awkward. It's really kind of disrupts the color scheme. It's a tiny bit, but it's not too bad. Now, looking at the tail is, I would say, a really good build. And it's really well, like, the color scheme for the tail is really good. Like I said earlier with the energy charging through, it's really solid on that. However, the tail does kind of sag a little. Like, you know, I had it propped up in this angle where it wouldn't fall. And because 2/3 of the set is actually pretty, like, relatively new pieces. So that's probably why it could hold up a bit better. But over time of having the pieces, and if I decide to build this again, which I probably won't, but if I do, I know it's going to start sagging a bit, and it's just unfortunate. Time, you just can't beat time. But for right now, it looks really good. It's a pretty simple build, of course, but it's really decent. I do really like it. I like the whole color scheme. The red and gold looks so good, and just looks good. Moving up towards the main body and partially the wings section now, and this is obviously the most heavily detailed part. This is obviously the meat and potatoes of the build, like where you see everything. Like, it has everything going on for like all these crazy pieces. Like, all the at the bottom is like the silver Hordika foots, and then you have it goes up into the black and Mechu red Toamata arms, and it's just in the gold tubings. It's a crazy look, and it looks super good. And it's so crazy. But there are some problems, of course, because on the wings itself, like throughout the whole assembly of it, there's a lot of pins sticking out yet again. I really don't like pins when they stick out, so that's always going to be a problem for me. And there's literally a socket just sticking out. Like, there's two parts where the wings connect towards the back. It's just this open, like, axle point where you could just put something in right there. You could have put anything right there, but they didn't. It's just kind of awkward looking. And another thing, the arms look really flimsy. Like, they're really weak looking. I mean, there's no other way to put it. There's just that you would think in this huge, homunculus set with all these crazy, powerful looking, like, legs and torso and wings, the arms are a little lackluster. They're just really simple. I mean, they have a little bit of armor, but it's still really little, kind of just small looking, kind of like a T-Rex, I guess, if you will. But this is supposed to be a dragon, not a T-Rex. Just the color scheme on the arms are kind of like the worst offender to this thing, because it's just red, blue, black, and it's like in gold at the end for the claws. It's like just a really, just kind of a bad look, honestly. They should have probably got replaced the color of the arms. Should have got the black ones, but that's just me. Now, the wings, of course, are the main highlight of the set, besides like the head and neck, of course. But the wings are crazy looking. Like, you are, it's a crazy build, and it's so satisfying to actually put it all together. Like, when you actually get it to work, it's so freaking cool. Like, there's just this really good, there's this catharsis when I finally get to move the wings, because like, yeah, the wings are not like the most structurally sound. I mean, it's not the worst, but it could have been a little bit better. I think the wings could have been a touch beefier, but they're still really good. And I just think that it's just, you know, I feel like there could have been a little bit more going on, but I do like them. Don't get me wrong. Like, when you move the wings around and play with them a bit, it's so fun to do. It's super awesome. I really do enjoy that. Now, moving on a bit with the head, I think that the head and the neck looks really good. However, there is this really bad part that I don't like, and that is the neck and, well, the head. Because when you put Fenrac's head on this certain piece to connect the head to the neck, or to the face mask of Fenrac, when you connect it to that certain part, you kind of have to like force it in. You have to kind of like stress the pieces, and I really don't like that. I hate that. That is something I hate more than illegal connections, is when you have to purposely stress the pieces. I do not like that. That is something that I feel like I really should have figured something out to make that a better, somehow make that work better, because it's just really awkward. Now, you're not like ripping the thing apart, but it's just like you can feel it getting, like, you could see and feel it kind of like being pushed, like stretching out a bit, and I don't like that. That's just a really bad design flaw right there. But regardless of that, you know, it's a really awesome build. Like, when you build it and have the teeth working and stuff, and the function of that is really cool. It's a whole different build from the Fenrac build, but it's pretty much identical in build. So it's crazy how the build is kind of different, how to put it together, but it's pretty much, it's the same thing, but it's so awesome. And I just love that chomping motion. That's just always going to be cool to me. And then just to have this huge freaking body, just to have this head just have this big teeth and head just looks really intimidating and imposing. But the only problem is the neck itself is really flimsy. It's a bit loose when you're trying to move it. It really can't support its head too well. It's just how it's built, and there's nothing I can do about that. And these are new pieces, mind you. Most of this is new pieces, so it's not part of like, okay, well, it's just old. The pieces are old, so what do you really expect? Like, no, even people who probably had this back in 2006 probably had this same problem. So it's just a thing that I really wish that they could fix, but I know obviously they can't now. It's over. So I mean, of course, you can do your own modifications if you really want to, just to fix that. Maybe, if that's even possible. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I mean, regardless, it's good, it's serviceable. It's just that it can plop a little bit. The head is a little too heavy for the neck, so it kind of makes it just plop down. But all in all, it's fine. Besides stressing out the mask piece, I don't like that. That's something I don't agree with. But regardless, everything else is fine. Final thoughts. I like this set a lot. I really do appreciate it. I think this is such a cool looking set. Now, I would recommend pretty much anyone getting this or building it. I don't know. If you have the actual instructions, sure, go do what you want. Do whatever you want. Do as you please. But if you do not, and you have to go on your phone, tablet, whatever, computer probably could work. I mean, it's pretty painful, and then the build itself is really confusing. Sometimes you kind of get a little lost of what you're doing. So, I mean, you can, I mean, of course, I say get it. So, to kind of just get my point across, the final score I give this set is, I want to give it a, I'm just gonna give it a 8.2. Like, it's really good. I think it's a like a top tier set. I think you should get it or build it and just have this experience it for yourself in hand, because obviously I can only do so much in a video format, but actually seeing it in your face and having it in your hand, held it in your hand, it's like a whole different feeling instead of just obviously watching a video of someone talking about it. But so definitely get it. So 8.2 is my score on it. Tell me yours down in the comments. And also, of course, I read every single comment. But before I go, I want to say a few things that this set will not be included in the final overview, unfortunately, because I did not have enough time to actually, or even money a little bit, to get get another Vezon and Fenrag, Brutaka, and just the Titans all together. So I didn't have the time or money to get it. So unfortunately, I had to take apart my previous sets to build this. So it would not be included. Unfortunately, I hate that it won't, but his spirit will be felt in the video. I'll make sure to include him still. I'll use these shots here to include him in it. So he won't be missed. He'll be still included. But so yeah, that is it. I might do Botar, but I don't know. After building this, I don't think I feel like doing Botar. But let me know in the comments if you really want to see me do Botar, because if no one really has any interest or doesn't really care too much, then I'm probably going to just do the overview for next time. But okay, those have been my thoughts. Tell me yours down in the comments. Whatever comment you have, let me know in the comments. Also, follow me on Twitter. I have a Twitter. That's what I do most of my polls on. I do it here on the YouTube as well, but just follow me on Twitter. Link in the description. I mean, it doesn't help. It does help. I say doesn't. It does help. Subscribe to the channel, and with that, I will bid you all adieu.